All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us at our personnel meeting, May 30th, 2023. This is our final meeting of this school year. I want to welcome all attendees and panelists that have joined us this evening. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kaufman.
Yes.
Yep, he will get us started.
We will do our salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and then next, I believe we will take roll. Ms. Hoff.
Present.
Mr. Wright, not present. Ms. Richardson is not present. Ms. Hopkins.
She says
I
here in the
see
chat.
here in the chat. Mr. Tom.
Present.
Mr. Callahan doesn't look like he's here. Ms. Cook-Henry.
Present.
Ms. Ivory.
Present.
And Ms. Boykins.
Present.
Okay, that concludes the attendance.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kaufman. I'm going to share the screen if that's okay, Ms. Ivory, and keep us moving.
Great, thank you, Dr. Coates.
Okay. In the Personnel Committee agenda, we do have an item for approval, and that should be coming up momentarily. This item is also in the agenda that is in board docs for everyone to see, and we've also provided the agenda in the chat. So we're bringing this tonight to the board to seek approval of this particular motion. So Ms. Ivory, if you don't mind, would you share that motion and then see if we can get a second and a vote, please?
Sure. The motion to approve the Penwood High School student field trip to Pocono Valley Resort, located at 300 Camp Akiba Road, Readers, PA, 18352 on June 9th, 2023. On Friday, June 9th, the senior class and Mrs. Elizabeth Brown will be attending the Pocono Valley Resort, 300 Camp Akiba Road, Readers, PA. They will depart at 8 a.m. and return at 10 p.m. the same day. This trip is an end-of-year celebratory trip for the senior class. This is an opportunity for the students to utilize some of the objectives learned during social emotional learning throughout the year and to celebrate their accomplishments during this school year. The total cost of the trip is $150 per student and free for chaperones, which include the following: A, transportation, coach, charter bus; B, activities, zip lining, basketball, softball, human bumper ball, dance party, soccer, swimming, canoeing, and kayaking, all you can eat, and campfire.
Second.
Thank you.
I'm a zillion% in favor of this. I'm really glad that Miss Brown and Dr. Lee worked together to get our seniors this trip. And I look forward to a sleepover next year.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Sorry, late. Aye.
Any objections? Okay, thank you, board members.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Great.
I'm going to take us back to our, sorry about that. That's not the slide I wanted. Take us back to our Personnel Committee slide, and we will continue with our agenda. So tonight we wanted to give and provide a hiring update to the board as well as to our larger community. There is terminology that we utilize within the Human Resources Department, and just wanted to reorient those to this terminology. We basically have three types of, if you will, vacancies: a true vacancy, or either a vacancy with hire in process or pending vacancy. And you can see what the definitions of each of those are. I will share with you, though, that most of the, or if not all of the positions that I'm highlighting tonight are true vacancies. Keep in mind that this information is as of last Friday. And as this information changes, we will continue to update the board. So as an overview, there are two, and all of these are, sorry, I'm not sure what's happening there. All of these are school-based vacancies. So there are two administrative vacancies. We have teacher leaders. We have 8 of those, and that would be, for example, academic interventionists. We have true teaching positions. We have nurses, and we have school support, which are our instructional assistants. So you can see the breakdown within each category. I will share with you that we were able to hire several individuals as a result of the hiring fair. I do know that principals are continuing in these efforts to hire. I did provide all principals with a breakdown of their current vacancies, and we'll be following up with them this week to check on the status. One thing I will alert the board now is that I think the June agenda will be filled with listings of hires, because we will also be doing our supplemental hiring, if you will, or filling those positions as well for the 23-24 school year. So I just wanted to give you a heads up before that actual publication comes out. Now, what I would like to do before we go into discussion is just give you an overview generally of where we are by location. So we still have some vacancies within our administration building. And you can see that in some places we do have temp secured. I would share with you that for the benefits analyst leave coordinator, that is a temp to perm position. So that is a person who is definitely qualified to fill the position and has expressed interest in being permanent if we continue in that regard. So I did want to highlight that third bullet. You'll see at Alden Elementary, there are various positions, 3 instructional assistants, and I would share with you that instructional assistants are the greatest need that we have. You'll see the vacancies at Ardmore, followed by Bell Avenue, Carwin. We do have a staff nurse here. We also have a library media specialist. Now, you will note that in some instances, some positions are paired with other schools. So you will see that noted. So for example, Carwin also has a library media specialist that is paired with Ardmore. You'll see that Evans has one that is paired with Park Lane. The Penwood 9th grade academy. One thing I would note here, and we have Penwood High School, is that our site-based teacher leader for ELA as well as math, that is a shared position between both campuses.
Dr. B. Coates, did I miss something? Was there a music teacher vacancy in one of the schools?
There was a music teacher vacancy in one of the schools, and that position was filled during the hiring fair.
So what was listed on here is not a vacancy. Did I see?
I don't believe we had music listed. I don't
The
believe
back-
so.
It was
Okay.
back, it was
think
back.
I believe it was the middle. Was it the middle? No.
No,
I did see music. So I thought.
yeah, Bell.
At the elementary level, there is a music position, but not
Okay.
at the secondary level.
Okay.
Dr. B. Coates, while you're on that page.
Yes,
Are you missing Miss Nash's position?
that would be one that we would be adding.
Okay.
Yep.
And the nurses, those are gonna be hard.
That is a challenge. I will share with you, and Ms. Stewart, you are more than welcome to chime in if I am mistaken. I do know that we have, one of the reasons we established or want to have contracts with various nursing staffing agencies is in the event that we get to a point where we are unable to fill a vacancy or we have no applicants, there are instances in which we do have opportunities to work with the nursing staffing agency to fill some of those vacancies on a temporary basis.
Has the legislative body done anything to sort of emergency cert them? Because I don't know if you all know, but a person that's a certified RN can't even be a school nurse. There's an additional school nurse degree, correct? Ms.
Well, the issue really isn't so much their certification, it's the salary. For staff nurses, it's extremely low. And as you know, because of COVID, the market for a nurse, their base salary literally quadrupled. And our salary is extremely low. I believe it starts at $15 an hour for a staff nurse. So we literally are not getting applicants for that position because the salary is just so low.
They aren't on the teacher's contract?
No, they are not in the teacher's contract. They are in the I think it's ESPA. Do I have that right, Dr. Vico? That would be the Secretaries and IA Union.
Yes.
They're in that one. The certified school nurses, they are in WPEA. So there are two different types of positions.
Ms. Stewart, my question is that with regard to the $15 rate, where do we work on implementing a higher rate? And also, what is the average rate going across the county for a staff nurse?
Well, we
At the
have,
bottom?
well, yes, ours is at the bottom. That is true. And I can share with you that, for our agency nurses, they receive $50 to $60 an hour, but that is not with benefits. So they're getting a flat rate of $50 to $60, and that's generally the trend across all of the other districts.
So my question is that why can we not get rid of the staff nursing and put our rate at an hour and put them in I know they're in you said the staff union, but with that, can we make changes? Because if we keep outsourcing, so if we're outsourcing, we're putting out the money already. The person just doesn't have benefits like you described. So is there a way to adjust to that time or in the future?
I think
I
that's.
was going to yield to Dr. B. Coates on that
I
one.
think that's something that we could definitely look at going forward. We could have a general conversation with the union to see if there is a willingness to make modifications. Typically, that's done at the time that we are in the negotiation of the new collective bargaining agreement. But we could have the conversation to see if there is a willingness to do it ahead of that time. I will share with you though, when you open up that conversation, typically you want to then, people tend to want to have other conversations for other employee classifications as well.
Well, Dr. Nico, we're coming up on negotiations, right?
I think for ESPA, I believe
We're coming up on
year after teachers. So 2024 is teachers, which is WPEA, and I think 2025 is ESPA, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Okay. So, Wadia, can we put that on an agenda for us to discuss, in the future, so we can put this in the forefront, because we see here we're utilizing funding for it, and there's a lack. And we're hearing the root cause. One of the issues is that we're paying $15 an hour, which is not even average or nowhere near what around us other school districts are paying at this time. So this is something that as a board we should take a look at for our negotiate 2020 to see if we can rectify the situation, because we're putting money out for staffing for nursing, whereas we could have our own and be paying our own versus keep paying out for resources.
Can I ask if I missed this, I'm sorry, what's the difference between a staff nurse and the other nurse?
So a certified school nurse has a higher credential. Normally they are RNs, but they also have a certification in school nursing. And they have to keep their licensing through, ongoing PD. They are generally paid at a higher rate because they are higher, the expectations are higher in terms of their schooling and experience. Then we have the staff nurses. A staff nurse tends to be a CNA, maybe an LPN, and they technically are they help the CSN. So there's a certified school nurse, and they have a certain amount of students that they can carry on their caseload. So their staff nurses are at other schools, and so they help to manage that caseload. So they work with the staff nurses that are assigned to them to make sure that, the caseload is handled and all the things like screenings are happening. So that's kind of how the dynamic works in terms of what staff nurses do and what certified school nurses do.
All right. I'm
Got
just
it,
gonna-
thank you.
I was just going to continue on just with some highlights here. I think I was on the Evans and Park Lane, and then we just highlighted the Penwood Ninth Grade Academy and the Penwood High School. And then we have Penwood Middle, Walnut, and then we do have a school safety officer district-wide. So our goal is, and what we've communicated to staff, is try to have vacancies filled no later than July 1st. I think that's very, very important. Some of you will remember this sheet here that I'm showing. This is our hiring process that we actually utilize. And basically where we are in the process is that we are looking for recommendations to hire. Some schools may still be conducting some panel interviews, doing reference checks, but we're hoping that most people are moving toward the recommendation to hire phase. So I wanted to bring that back to the board so that you would have that information, so that you would know basically where we are. And then the last piece I believe I have for you is just some of our next steps. Did I skip next steps? It says discussion. I'm going to go to next steps and then we'll come back to discussion. We have our next personnel committee meeting on September the 26th. And again, we will continue to provide updates in reference to vacancies and our Friday updates to the board. In the event that we need to do something sooner, we definitely would do that. Because I do want to keep you updated, because we all know that our ability to fill these vacancies will determine how successful we are with the opening of schools. Because we all know that the more vacancies we have, the bigger impact it has on the teachers that are hired and that will show up on day one. And so, Ms. Ivory, that concludes the human resources update tonight. And I will make sure that we add the position at the administration building to this listing. Are there any other questions or comments that board members may have?
I have in the past, and I will again share a concern that I think it's a lot for principals to also add to their plate hiring manager. I mean, maybe because we're coming on summertime and students are leaving the building, it'll be easier, but I know that if that's not done, as you state, by, July, it does become quite a challenge from what I've seen for some of our principals to get it done.
No, I'm glad you raised that. We've had significant conversations with principals about the process. So before we even started the 23-24 process, we did have conversations with principals, with the prior HR leadership about how we move forward, how we modify steps in the process, et cetera. So some things were modified based upon principal input. And I think most of the principals would agree that they want to be the ones who make the decisions and who is in their building, not necessarily human resources. And so, we did try to make some concessions and make some adjustments. However, I would say to you that, we will continue to look at the process. It is a lot of process work and paperwork. And in hindsight, I don't think we would have been able to support it given where we are right now without staffing in HR. And so I think it's a joint effort, but we're definitely still open to conversation around how we can potentially enhance it to make it less, I'll say, challenging for the principal. But I do appreciate those comments.
Thank you.
Sure. And I know that we have, some principals who are attending. I don't know if they may want to share anything or not on assistant principal, not putting anyone on the spot, but that's where we are right now.
Okay, I see a hand raised by
Looks like it's Miss Brown from Penwood.
Ms.
Good
Brown.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Ms. Brown.
Okay.
So I do want to say that I will say I think the hiring fair that we did was like a good way to partner with HR and us as hiring managers. So it was like we didn't feel like everything was on us. So I do want to go give a shout out to about the hiring fair because it was something that we haven't really done. And I think it was really effective. We got to meet a lot of qualified people and just mix and mingle. So I think that was a partnership.
Thank
It was
you.
a great affair.
I agree.
And maybe is that something potentially that we can, I guess, host one, say quarterly or as needed in terms of, our staffing, to make sure we keep our pool open.
Right. I would think as needed, definitely we could do that. So that's something that we will definitely be discussing with Ms. Gardner when she comes on board, and the when you actually would do that to make it, meaningful to not only the applicants, but to the principals as well. And I think being able to see someone face to face, having a conversation, then meeting different staff people that would be at your school, I think all of that helps.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, Ms. Brown, for your comment. Are there any questions or comments from our attendees this evening? Okay, seeing none. Are there any additional questions or comments from our board members? All right. Well, Dr. B. Coates, thank you so much for this evening for the presentation. And a reminder, we will resume in September for our personnel meetings, but everyone enjoy your summer. And we'll see everyone in the new year. Thank you, everyone.
Sounds good. And that meeting will be led by Ms. Gardner.
Great. All right. Enjoy, everyone. Have a great evening. Thank
This is
you.
like,
Have a good evening.
Take care.